Hi everybody, welcome to the Purpose People podcast. I've got Gareth Davies from Norwhales Health Matters. So thanks so much for joining us on the sofa. You've flown all the way over from Norway, so it's great to get you in the chair and talking about your life. So just give us a little bit of background on what you actually do for a living today.
Well, today I help people who are in chronic pain to get rid of that pain and get their life back.
Get their life back. And it's got a little bit about your backstory because you had to go through that journey yourself. Mm-hmm. Do you want to just tell us a little story about, how you ended up getting to this point of making a decision that you want to help people with pain?
Yeah, sure. Well, back in the day, I grew up in Cardiff and never thought about anything else other than playing for Cardiff City.
Yeah.
And I went there every Tuesday and Thursdays, quite good, for up until I was almost 16, expecting to be taken on as an apprentice.
Yep.
One night I went in on a Thursday, they said, we're picking 2 other kids, don't come in next week.
Wow.
And my whole life fell apart.
Yeah.
And I went off the rails. I only recently understood why I went off the rails for a few years. Got my act together when I was 23, had a good time over 3 or 4 years with a strong Welsh League side. Mm-hmm. And I got signed by Cardiff City when I was 27.
Oh, wow.
Played 3 games, snapped my cruciate ligament in my knee, and I've never been able to run since.
Wow.
And at the time, I thought it was probably the worst thing that could happen to anybody, of course. But it turned out to be a massive blessing in my life because I went from training 4 times a week and playing once a week to not being able to run. So guess what?
Yeah.
Started to put on weight.
I,
of my own bat, I started studying diet, nutrition, wellness, used my body as a lab for 2 or 3 years and settled on something after traveling the world actually and learning from different doctors. And I've had a certain diet for the last plus 30 years, 35 years almost. And it's been really good because I've helped other people along the way. And then eventually in just January this year, I said to my wife on a bed, okay, I'm going to do something in the health side of things, which I can really feel in here, and I really want to do. So that's where I ended up where I am now.
So you you got that big empathy piece of where people are at when the worst happens or when they're dealing with chronic pain, because obviously snapping your cruciate is painful in itself, and there's a recovery process as well, in getting through it. And essentially what you've now is found a health product that can actually help people through that journey. So just explain to me then, you talked about you didn't get your dream. That was the thing. And you said you went off the rails a bit. Just talk us through. Is it because you didn't know what was football was the only thing, you just didn't know what else was out there? How did you reconcile the fact to sort of like get back on the straight and narrow, if you like, to get a bit more focused? How do you explain that journey? Because there's people out there that have a life change and then they're struggling to get back to where they think they should be. And almost maybe go a bit self-destructive, I don't know, but in terms of your journey.
Yeah, definitely. Self-destruction comes to mind. I never thought about anything else other than running out on Ninian Park and playing for Cardiff City. That's all I did. I wasn't interested in school. If I could look out the window, I would be thinking, why aren't I out there on that yard or that pitch kicking a ball around? Like many people, of course. But really it was an obsession for me, and not being able to do that, or realizing that I hadn't been picked when I thought I was going to be an apprentice professional, was just devastating. And it was just that I didn't know what to do at that time. I'd never thought about it. In fact, I got a U in engineering in my O levels, which, if you're not sure, it stands for unclassified.
Or unbeatable, as I told my mum.
Mine was definitely unclassified. So what did I do? I thought I got to get a job. So I got a job as an apprentice engineer, believe it or not. Right, okay. And I did an apprenticeship for 4 years, which I hated every minute of. But I had a goal. And right at the beginning of that, I decided I wanted to travel because I met someone who'd been overland, a couple of overland trips to South Africa.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, if I get this at least I'll be able to go to South Africa. And that's exactly what happened. I managed to get through the apprenticeship. If I didn't have to go into work on Fridays, if I could get by without the money, I wouldn't go in.
Yeah.
I was a horrible employee. You know, you go into college once a week, 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Probably went 50% of the time. Just had no
I guess
interest.
your heart's not in it, right? I
Not
think
at
that's
all.
the thing. And I mean, you know, one of the things, we're working with a company that actually is helping those kids that when they don't make it, giving them, encouraging them that they can be something outside of sport or whatever, or another stream within sport. Because I think there's that pressure, isn't there? You know, you got to make it, and then you don't make it, and the percentages are quite low for those that do make it, and then they're just left to get on with it. You know, so it's not uncommon to know someone that's coming out the apprenticeship system, and then they're not taken on as a pro, for example, and we're on to the next one. Got to get the results.
Well, that's you know, that's how it is. And you said the percentages are low; they're minute of the people who actually make it. So I didn't understand any of that. I didn't understand why I'd been rejected in my mind. You know, that's what I thought I'd been rejected. And it was only looking back, actually quite recently, that I realised why I, you know, got into behaviours which, you know, were not helping me at all. Drugs, alcohol, you know, for a number of years.
Do you look back and think, you know, why you got rejected? Was it ability? Was it character? Was it temperament? Were you ever given an idea or a clue of why?
No, I was never told. I was never told why, but I think I knew it internally, and I certainly realised it later. Is that I'd moved from an inner city because my parents wanted to go up in their lives and they'd start their business and they'd moved up, if you like, in the social ladder, social ladder, and I'd gone from living in a place, Grangetown in Cardiff, in a high school, Fitzallen, where 10 of the boys, 10 of the team made up the Cardiff schools team.
Right.
It was so good. It was full on. The competition was high. And then I moved to a place called Rada, which is only, you know, 4 or 5 miles outside Cardiff. But it moved into a rugby area. So when I went to that school, there was no football at all.
Right, okay.
And so if you could keep the ball up 6 times in Rada, you know, you looked at like you were George Best. Whereas doing that in Fitzallen was no big deal because
everyone could.
There was a decent team there. So I think it was competition and lack of competition, and then overconfidence, big-headedness, call it whatever you want. You know, that's where I was at the time.
So do you think that when you obviously got through that tough time or that realisation and unpacked it, and then you started playing again, what were you playing for? Were you playing for like proving someone wrong, or you were playing for enjoyment? Because ultimately you did achieve your dream in terms of getting signed by them again. Mm-hmm. But what do you think the difference was between pre-signing and getting rejected to then playing afterwards and getting signed? What do you think changed in your life?
It was belief in me from 3 different managers. I came back from South Africa, not overweight and good enough to play in South Africa. Yeah. But not good enough to play in the UK. Yeah. And someone said to me, a guy called Danny Gomez, said, would you want to come and play for my Sunday team? And I thought, oh, you want me to play? And he said, yeah, a couple of the players known you from before you went away. And they said, you know, you're a decent player, and I'd like you to come and play. And I saw that as an opportunity to move as well, because I was known as a centre back originally, and then I played in goals in South Africa. Yeah. And then, but I always wanted to be a striker, but I never thought I was good enough. Okay. And so I thought, he said, what position do you play? I said, I'm a striker. So I went and got my act together as far as work goes. I started working for the family business. Yeah. And putting it, you know what it's like in your own business. You put more than a shift in, especially when the business is pretty new. Yeah. But on top of that, I was training, and I took it seriously. You know, I was training I never missed a training session, right. And I loved scoring goals. And so Sundays were easy for me actually after I got myself fit. Yeah. And then there's another manager, got an ex-Cardiff City manager called Richie Morgan, who was managing a Welsh League side called Sully, and asked me to come and play for the Amateur League side. As it happened, the first day I went to play for them, the striker was missing from the Welsh League side for some reason, and I went straight into the Welsh League side. I never played for the Amateur League side. Oh, right, wow. And I did really well, scored a couple of goals on my debut, and just had 3-4 years more and more confidence. Another manager came in, who was a fantastic coach, Les Dickerson, God rest his soul. But Les was an amazing coach and helped me do my coaching badges as well.
Oh, right, cool. Yeah.
Which actually I'd done a couple earlier, but I did a couple more then. So just belief in me. Each of these three guys believed in me that I could go to the next level.
Yeah. And I think that's what often helps. Often you and I think that certainly with modern day academies and stuff like that, they're starting to see there is a lot more than just. There's a lot more things to make a player. There's the aspects of belief or people believing in you. There's different temperaments, for example, as well. There's a lot of the game is mental just as much as physical as well. I share a little bit about my friend who was in the class of 92. So he was signed on 6-year forms for Manchester United. He's got a newspaper cutting on the back saying the next Diego Maradona, with him juggling the football. Everyone wanted him. He eventually signs for Manchester United. And again, coach clash, didn't get on with the coach, so he didn't quite believe in him. So if everything went wrong, it was his fault. He'd been used to everyone saying, you're the best, you're the greatest. And now he's saying, no, you're not so good. And he just didn't know how to cope with it, and ultimately went within his shell and did everything he could not to play. And so at the end of 6 years, he was let go and ended up at Bristol City.
Yeah.
And he reflects back now, and he's got friends that were also in the class of 92 that ended up working for Man City. And they said, listen, there is, absolutely every chance you would have made it 10 years further down the line. But back then it was one size fits all. No one really recognised it. If you could stand the pressure, you could. If you can't, tough, we'll get the next one in on the conveyor belt. The sad thing is, on the video that was of the class of 92, which is the movie that came out, they asked the coach, has he got one regret? And he actually names him as the one guy that didn't make it in Premier League football. That was his regret. And to watch that for the first time must have been like, But, he made his peace with the guys. Unfortunately, he's also died now. And, he's obviously doing other things now. But, one of the things that he put it down to was character. Is like he just didn't have that character part where he says, look, I'll prove you wrong. It was almost like, no, I'm done. I'm out of here. So while your Beckham and Giggs and Scholes are practicing free kicks, he's gone. He's off the pitch and got whatever else. So as something as that, and then you get your dream. Effectively, they come and sign you. So how did that happen?
It was Les Dickerson, the guy I mentioned, who was our coach at the time, manager at the time.
Yeah.
The manager who'd left had gone to Barrytown.
Yeah.
And he said, come and play for me at Barrytown.
Okay.
So I told Les, and there was big rivalry between Sully and Barrytown.
Yeah.
And he said, if you're going to step up, why don't you should go to step up. You're good enough to be a professional.
Wow.
And he got in touch with the Cardiff manager at the time, who was a guy called Frank Burrows. And Frank came and watched a couple of games. And then I got a phone call from him saying, come down and see me. Would you like to play for Cardiff City? I'm like, whoa.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah. So
then, effectively, you're now living the dream. And so then within 3 games, everything changes again. What was it? What was the thought process there? Did you think you'll bounce back, or did you think, no, I think this is it?
I spent 2 years doing my coaching badges and going back and forth to Lilleshall, to the Sports Rehabilitation Clinic, FA Rehabilitation Centre there, and thinking that I would get fit. Couple of operations, and then after 2 years of it, the club were a bit fed up of it, and I was certainly fed up of being in hospital and operations and disappointments along that route. So I then decided to go down the coaching route.
Yeah.
So I got completed my full badge coaching license.
Yeah.
Invested in an indoor soccer centre and went to run it in America.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you've done so many different things.
Yes.
So how long were you in America for?
I was in America for 18 months.
Okay.
Location is everything. I picked the wrong location.
Where were you?
I was in North Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay. The hotbed of football.
But I did have an experience there that probably made the whole 18 months worthwhile.
Okay.
In fact, I got a nice little newspaper article because I got interviewed on my return to South Wales. And it says something like, this Welshman has done something that Rush and Hughes have never done, because I actually picked up the World Cup with my jersey on.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'd represented the Welsh non-league team.
Yeah.
Just once, just to say we beat England 3-1, but yeah. I had a shirt, and I was in the centre in Little Rock, and I got a phone call one day. This is 1991, so 3 years before the 94 World Cup in the US. And they were trying to promote American, of course, football in America. And I got a call saying, hello, this is so-and-so from the World Cup Trophy Tour. Would you like, we're in St. Louis, and then we're going down to Dallas, but we got a gap in between of a couple of days. Would you like us to bring the trophy to your indoor football center in Arkansas? I went, yeah, fine, put the phone down. A couple of minutes later, the phone rang again. Don't put the phone down. It's real. I went, well, and they said, yeah. And it turned out it was, the World Cup Trophy Tour, and they were promoting football in all over the US, and they were taking the actual Jules Rimet trophy around. And so, a couple of months later, we'd organised a tournament for a 48-hour tournament over the weekend, starting Friday night, finishing Sunday lunchtime. We promoted that. We got teams in from different states, different age groups, and just ran a tournament. I mean, it was 3 of us, myself and my sidekick, who was called Andy Gray, who was a coach at West Ham at one time, and then an American lad. And these 3 American guys pitched up with the World Cup with a copper to stand next to the trophy.
Wow!
And they put the trophy in a glass case in the boardroom.
Yeah.
And this copper stood next to it. They had shifts, and they were there with their guns and a truncheon, guarding this. And we had people queuing up then to have their photograph taken with the World Cup. But unfortunately, the glass case, they wouldn't take it out, so the flash was bouncing off the glass. But people were still excited, but still not that many people, Yeah. So Sunday lunchtime comes, tournament's finished. We're all shattered because we've been working through the night.
Yeah.
And these 3 guys, we actually played, I could walk on indoor, I could just about get away with that. Yeah. So we played 3-on-3 for the World Cup. And then Tony, our American guy who was with myself and Andy, decided to go with these chaps when they said, oh, look, we're really tired and we haven't had any food. Is it okay if we go out for food and we come back and we sort the cup out and everything afterwards? I looked at Andy and like, yeah, fine, you go, you go. So they went out. We locked the stadium facility doors. Yeah. I went and put on my Welsh shirt that I got for playing for Wales. Andy went and put his England shirt on that he bought at Tesco's. Yeah. And we went into the copper and we said, hey, look, everyone's gone now. It's all closed down. It's our turn to have our photographs taken. Can you help us off with a case? And I think if it had been a Super Bowl ring, he would have shot us there and then. But it meant nothing to him, the World Cup.
Yeah, of course.
And so he said, yeah, sure. So he helped us undo the case, take it out. And I got this photograph of me there kissing the World Cup
look at that.
My Welsh jersey on. So
just go on the vision board.
One day, a Welsh guy's going to lift this, Yeah. I actually did see Wales win a World Cup 3 weeks ago.
Which one was that?
It was the over 75s, believe it or not, tournament which took place in Cardiff. Yeah. There's over 70s and 75s. I went to see the 75s final. It was incredible.
They fit?
No, but fitter than most 75-year-olds.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So now you've sort of like almost like football's given you still got a bit of a story and a bit of a narrative. It's still helping you almost travel a little bit and do things. So when did you get to the point that you made the link between sports and pain and making a difference? When did that come? How did that emerge?
Yeah, well, that was when I started putting weight on, and I started studying diet and nutrition and wellness, and I realised how much sports people could be helped by what they ate, regulating what they ate. What you put in your body 3 times a day for decades makes a difference.
Massively so.
Yeah. Still now, there's many people who are training their butts off, but not caring what they eat.
You know what? It's funny because like they just did. There was an interview, just a recent interview with Mohamed Salah, and he said you can't he said, how do you get your abs? Because he's ripped. He's 32 years old, looks like 22-year-old, you know. And he said it's all in the kitchen. He said it starts in the kitchen. And he said these abs start in the kitchen. They don't start in the thing. And it was just as simple as that. And you can eat like a 200, 300 calorie cake, right? And then try and work and then get back to zero. Rather, don't have the cake. You know, and it's just simple things like that. But we do. And I think certainly in my younger days, you know, I got injured a few times and I would, you know, just carry on as normal. And then you start putting weight on and you're like, well, what's going on? And it's like, well, you're not outworking the calorie intake that you're actually having. But I agree, as I've got older, you kind of be a bit aware that, you know, eating loads of sugar and all that sort of stuff, you can't do it. You know, this earth suit is 80, 90 years old. You've got to look after it a little bit differently than when you were 21.
Totally. Well, and that's what I'm really passionate about today. I mean, I've learned, one of the things which I learned, which is a base concept, but it's so powerful when it comes to weight and wellness. And that is calorie density. If you understand calorie density of foods, and you haven't got to be 100% with anything, you know, but if 90% of the foods you eat are 600 calories or per pound or less, you cannot overeat and put weight on.
Right. Okay.
It's impossible. Because you'll be too full, and the sensors in your stomach will tell your brain you're too full before you've had too many calories.
So what sort of foods are like that?
Potatoes, you know, obviously not after they've been skinned, chopped and deep fried.
In a bag.
Sure. But, you know, potatoes, it'd be no surprise to you, vegetables, fruits, good starches, beans, you know, So
well, I think
that's the makeup of my diet, basically.
Yeah, because I mean, what I've seen as well is that, you know, like the different trends now, you know, there's intermittent fasting, you know, not eating, so you might eat breakfast or eating certain times. I think there is a lot more science that's out there now. People are talking about it a bit more. I think, you know, I certainly grew up like 3 meals a day. And if I didn't have one, I'm being cheated, you know. Now I try and eat, I think ideally 1 meal, maybe 2, but if I'm full, I'm full, you know, and I've cut sugar out now, and I definitely feel a lot better. You know, I think the one I'm trying to get, which I was doing well in America, but I've just come back, is water. So I was at altitude, 12,500 feet in Colorado. You have to drink water. There's no question. You have to take pills for the altitude sickness, if you like, prevention. Oxygen in the blood, and so I was in the habit. I got back here, I'm back on the tea and not so much water. But that said, it does make a big difference just drinking water. You know, to your outlook on life generally. You know, so I think for me that's all great in terms of looking after you and condition yourself. But what about the people with pain? Because ultimately that's what you've now done.
Well, that's where I am now, because in January this year I decided that I was gonna do something with diet, nutrition, wellness, health, but I've never been really good at behind the idea of supplementation, of an extra vitamin or mineral can do this or that. I've been much more. Why would you take a pill when you can eat a broccoli or a potato or a banana or whatever? You know, you can eat the whole thing, because then you get the roughage and also and in the right mix that God intended for us to put in, rather than something that's been concentrated so much. So and I came across Redox Molecules. I'd never heard of Redox Molecules before then, and I dived in. It's the name comes from. I
see a bit of a theme here. You find the thing and then you're all in on.
Totally got in, because it's redox is an amalgamation of reductive and oxygen, so reduction and oxygenation, and it's how we develop the balance in our homeostasis in our cells. So having seen something which could actually, you know, companies learn to replenish, give us a way to replenish our redox molecules in our body. It's absolutely incredible, because they're responsible for the energy as we go on in life. They die down about 10% a decade after puberty.
Right.
So you see when a kid cuts their finger, for instance, you can't see the mark the next day. It's already healed because our cell signaling is working properly.
But as you get older, it takes longer to heal.
It takes longer to heal. We could become less efficient in our body because our redox molecules are dying down. So one company's learned how to suspend redox molecules outside the body so that we can replenish them with a drink and with a gel. So
right. So for instance, by drinking that, what are the benefits to drinking that? Is it that, not that you want to cut yourself, but heal that, but what is it? Extra energy? Takes away pain? What's the benefit of taking these things or having your redox molecules working properly, so to speak?
Yeah, it's down to cell signaling.
Yeah.
So your cells will signal properly. So it's like enabling your inner doctor, because your body's amazing. Your body knows how to heal, given the right stuff. But these molecules die down. So it's another analogy is let's say you got your house is on fire.
Yeah.
You know the fire station around the corner has good people. They know what they're doing. They got good equipment. And so you get on a phone and you call them up, but there's no signal on your cell phone. They don't get the message.
Yeah.
So they can't complete the job.
Right.
So that's what's happening to our body as we age.
Yeah.
And now we can replenish our redox molecules.
So these redox molecules, obviously, you said you sort of in the drink and in a liquid form,
in a gel,
in a gel, in a gel. So, what's the like if someone, what point would you get into a conversation where that would be an option? Is it they're experiencing certain symptoms, and then you can go, well, this could help solve those? I mean, what's the sort of the trigger point where you can help someone?
It's pretty difficult, this, because this works on our cells.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually matter what is wrong with someone, someone's struggling with.
Or do they have to have something wrong with them?
Well, they don't, but most people won't do anything unless. But certainly I was interested. I didn't think I had much wrong with me.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in being the best I can be physically.
Yeah.
Which will, and mentally. And to do that, to be that way, our cells have got to be working properly.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to use this product myself because I want to be the best I can be. I did need it when I didn't realize I was going to need it. When I went cross-country skiing, and I went on a big mountain tour, and basically I was coming down and I ran out of talent. And I had a big fall, going probably 30, 35 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
Fell my hand gripping the pole onto my ribs. And if you've ever had a rib damage, and you know how it goes, and no laughing or coughing because that's really painful. But I applied the product and I drank the product for every morning, every night, and I applied it 3-4 times a day for about 10 days. And I'm in my mid-60s now, and that was it was all done after 10 days.
Wow.
So
Wow. So from your point of view, then obviously you see people with pain, and obviously you're talking about this particular product, and you're helping people with pain effectively.
Sure.
How quickly do they feel a difference? Is it take this on 10 weeks, and then hopefully by the end of 10 weeks you feel different? Do they see a pretty quick result, or is it just different in everybody? It's
different in everybody. But the gel we have is applied topically. So if someone's got a particular injury, maybe their shoulder, they got a headache, or they got knee joint pain, then we apply the gel 3 times in 5 minutes, and 9 out of 10 people will see an immediate reduction in pain or complete relief from pain.
Wow.
It is that incredible. From other types of sicknesses, whether it's heart or prostate or other really serious things going on in the body, it's still cells which are not signaling properly. So again, 50% of people get a significant positive result within 30 days, but that goes to 90% of people after 90 days.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a catch-all, which sounds a bit too good to be true sometimes.
Yeah.
But people can experience it for themselves and find out pretty quickly.
So from you could do anything you want in the world, and now you're doing this. Is this giving you a great deal of satisfaction and joy?
I would say it's I'm the happiest with what I'm doing, Daryl, that I've ever been in my life, because we are making a difference on a daily basis to people's lives.
Yeah. And have you ended up speaking to any footballers or rugby players or anyone like that? I mean, surely one day you want to see it on the front of the shirt.
I would like to. I mean, in the States, there's Olympic gold medal winners using the product. Is way bigger in the United States because that's where it started.
Yeah.
I believe that whilst 40 years ago we'd never heard of antioxidants. For instance, 20 years ago or 10 years ago, we'd never heard of glutathione. Right now, we've not heard of Redox Molecules. I believe everyone will have a jar of the gel in their house, ready, just like people have aspirin at the moment. In another 10 years, so that's where I think it's going.
So it's interesting because I know what you said you had been taking it, and there were some other things. Was it about hair growing back or something like that?
Well, actually, my hair was going darker. It was really grey before, but I'm not bothered about that. But it's just one thing I've noticed. Even my eyebrows were grey, but they've gone quite dark now as well.
Let me know as soon as it grows hair back right off.
Well, some people have had a result with that. Yeah.
So obviously we're coming full circle now. It's that you started out as a sports person. You got you didn't work out. You went and did your own thing, so to speak. Then come back to it. You're in the thing, and now you ended up with pain. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, it's like all those life learning experiences. It's almost like it's giving you the sort of like the empathy now to work with people that are going through difficult times in all types of life. What's the sort of the biggest difference you've seen in people? I'm not saying you give names and places away, but of people that have used this particular product, what's the biggest difference you've seen? You got any stories?
I think probably I've seen many videos, testimonial videos that have happened from other people, but directly ourselves. My wife Anna Beret dealt with someone in Norway who had a lung disease, and was basically chained to an oxygen tank, and within a couple of weeks we were advised to help her take it through a nebulizer as well, as well as using the drink and the gel. And she said, she was so excited on this call. She said, I actually made the bed today. And we're like, what do you mean you made the bed? Why are you so excited by that? She said, well, I normally I have to get up, do the pillows, sit down, get on the oxygen.
Wow.
Get up, do the sheets, sit down, get on the oxygen. Then I can do the duvet. But went right through it, and a few weeks later she actually went to the gym. I don't know what she did, but she was able to go to the gym. So we are seeing some really serious sicknesses in people.
And what about the medical profession? Are they aware of this particular product now, or they, because often you've got your standard smorgasbord of treatments, and then stuff begins to emerge. How's that work? Because I'm sure people have got questions like, well, is it okay? Is it good for you? What would you say to that?
Well, again, it's way more advanced and known about in the United States.
Yeah.
So there are hundreds of doctors involved with this in the United States.
Yeah.
Here, I don't personally know of any yet. That's why I think it's so exciting for us.
For you, absolutely.
With the market. So. Yeah, any doctors who are out there who are open-minded enough to look, I think they'll see incredible possibilities for this. Because our system is set up to really help people, and it's really valuable if we've had an accident. Yeah. If we are in the middle of a heart attack, for instance, to the emergency services are amazing. The National Health in this country. But then to give us pills afterwards to control symptoms is not the best way in my opinion. We want to look further back to see how can we stop this happening.
Yeah, and that's what kind of intrigues me, because there's always a magic powder or a magic thing that just temporarily solves a problem. But like with this particular product, you're trying to go back to cells and refine, and the way the body actually should function, and it's not functioning in the way that you think. So that's what makes it really interesting. Funny enough, you were talking about the oxygen, and being at that altitude, we were taking the pills, and it says after you take them 1 day before, 2 days while you're there, and then you don't need them. So I didn't take them the fourth day because I didn't need to.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I picked up the suitcase. I was like, oh my gosh. So I took half, and I felt all right. And then the next day, woke up in the morning, lifted up the phone and felt, ooh. So, you have to, it's like altitude's so different in terms of learning how to handle your body and stuff like that. So I get that you can take medication to actually help you on that journey. And I mean, I know it's for altitude and what I was doing, but that medication is enabling someone now to do something that they couldn't ordinarily do, which is interesting.
Yeah. I think a good example is high blood pressure, for instance.
Yeah.
People, many people, I don't know what percentages are, but they're going up all the time of the people who suffer from high blood pressure. And, my take on that is high blood pressure is like a gift from God, because it's telling us there's something wrong on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what happens generally to people who have high blood pressure, they'll go to the doctor, and the doctor will give them a blood thinner, or they'll give them
That's right.
a relaxant, which will sort of relax the artery so that the blood pressure, stays low. But it won't solve the issue. It does nothing to solve the issue. And it just takes away the symptoms. So my analogy to that is like driving along in your car, the red oil light comes on, so you take the bulb out. Yeah. I mean, it's not dealing with the cause at all.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the packet, you will see all the warning signs.
That's it. It's just, for me, that's the scary thing is you sort of like, well, I can solve this problem, but then chances are I'm going to cause another one with it. So what is there that's safer? Diet obviously is a good place to start. I think much has been talked about the quality of food that we're actually eating and what's being put in to our foods. I think the UK is slightly better than the US.
It's way better than the US.
But the US, there's some horror stories about what they're finding out has been put into stuff. But just what we eat, how we live, it's just putting those things in place. And I think obviously this particular product, I'm sure works even better if it's supported by a change in lifestyle as well.
Well, it's native to the body.
Yeah.
So it's only helping the body do what it does anyway. But you're absolutely right. The more the better the food you eat, the keener you are with your diet. Obviously it's gonna help the situation. And it's also, you have to change, right? So like, for instance, I think when I was younger, it was all about running, and eventually that takes a toll on your body, constantly running on concrete or whatever. So it's just finding the right thing that works, like lifting weights or something like that could be better for you than running 10 miles, for example, because it's less stress on the joints or whatever. And I think for me, that's the age I am now. I've started to look more into that sort of stuff, just because I don't want to be 80, 90 with all these kind of ailments, because I just carried on eating the same way when I was 21. I can't drink sodas anymore. Just not going to do it. I actually, funny enough, having not done it for so long and then have one, it was just like drinking battery acid. That's what it felt like. You could taste every single chemical in it, So I think when you don't do it and you taste it, you just realise how bad some of our diet actually is. Yeah, but I don't think you should beat yourself. It was great that you realise that now. But people, this is what I found, is that people do not want to be told. In fact, they already know. Don't eat so much meat. Yeah. Exercise, go to bed at the same time every day. Drink more water. All this stuff. Eat more vegetables. Have some 5 fruits a day. I was showing people that and telling them that, but it's one thing to know it and to even start it, but it's another thing to make it part of your life. Yeah. And it's very, very difficult to do because of the pull of the chemicals in foods in supermarkets
100%.
Now. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's why I so love what I'm doing now, and why I've found this Redox Molecule answer is because you don't have to understand electricity to put the light on. Yeah. If you don't want to. Yeah. You just press the switch, you get the result.
Yeah.
You drink this in the morning, you drink this in the night, you'll get a result over 90 days. More than 9 out of 10 people will.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
then when someone has had a result like that, they're more likely to be able to take the advice from me on other parts of their diet.
Yeah,
just
because you've proven it. Yeah, it's like you've tested it, you proved it, the trust is there, and it's like, okay, well, I feel much better then. Maybe if I do something else and do something else. Yeah, 100%. So how would someone get in touch with you, Gareth? You know, how would they reach out to you if they want to find out a little bit more about these Redox?
LinkedIn, or I'm quite happy for people to have my phone number, and I use WhatsApp. So those are the two ways, and then I'll find out, you know, where people are, what they want, and give them what they want.
Give them what they want. So obviously you live in Norway, but you're spending a lot of time in Cardiff now. So, you know, you're going to be around regularly if there's someone in the UK that reaches out? Or?
It doesn't really matter if I'm in the UK or wherever I am in the world these days, because, you know, I'll with Zoom and WhatsApp, it's no problem at all for me. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time and sharing a little bit about your background and your journey. And, you know, I love the fact that the whole motive is almost helping people not feel like you used to feel when you were at the wit's end, where, you know, you're injured and pain and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, if you can get rid of pain in people's lives, it makes you a top guy.
Well, when people feel like they got nowhere else to go, then there is still hope.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's great to bring that to people. Yeah,
you're a hope dealer.
Yes, a hope dealer.
Well, thank you so much, Gareth, and lovely. We'll get this out and tell the world about how you're solving people's pain. So brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Darryl. It's great to be here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the Purpose People podcast. How you can help us is to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Google and Amazon. That helps us get our message out there to help people go after their dreams, double down on it, and be successful in life on their terms.